Hello and welcome to A Cat in the Garden. We have been away from the garden for a while. We were in California on vacation for a few days, going to a wedding, and then I ended up in the hospital. So poor little Nutmeg has not had much time outside. I feel so bad for him. But we're gonna make it up to him because there are a ton of chores to get done out here. And so I'm just gonna take you through kind of the process of the chores and the things that I need to do, and hopefully you enjoy following along and seeing everything that we've got out here. It's mostly gonna be picking some produce, cleaning up some beds, pruning some plants that aren't looking as hot. They've just got a lot of yellowing leaves going on, things like that. And I don't know if he'll probably be going crazy chasing birds, but that's just what he does. So come follow along with us as we do some much needed garden chores. Okay, so what we're gonna do in here is basically just harvest the strawberries. If you can see, a lot of them kind of look overripe, but that's okay. We're gonna just go for it anyway. I'm sure they'll still taste good, or I can put them in a smoothie or something, but a couple little holes from nature, from bugs. But this one here looks really good actually. So we'll just add them to the blackberries that I just picked. I think the zucchini got a little underwatered while I was gone, and it's only putting out some male flowers and losing some of these older leaves. So I'm just gonna go ahead and remove them. We'll get it watered and hopefully it will go back to producing. The tomatoes need both pruning and harvesting. Some of them honestly look a little overripe. That's a sun gold right there, and it almost looks like it's red. So definitely past ready to pick. So we're just gonna go ahead and get all of these beautiful tomatoes picked. I've got sun golds. This is some sort of red cherry. Oh no, that's a sun gold also. It's just really overripe. And then back there, way in the back over there, that's called a pink bumblebee tomato. And I think those are all the ones that are ready. These are getting close. I just need them to turn color at this point. They've got some good size on them. So let's get all these picked. All right, that's all of the tomatoes. Now it's time for some pruning. One thing that I still need to do, but I don't have the sack for it yet, it's in the mail, is I need to prop up this watermelon because it will end up like the last one and fall to the ground. I'm very lucky that this entire strand didn't break, but we need to prevent that with this one because I want to defy gravity and grow these watermelons up this trellis. So that's kind of on my to-do list. I can't get it done now, but it's something that I'm thinking about and I'll hopefully be able to get done soon. The next thing I need to do is fertilize because it's been about a month and a half since I have applied my fertilizer throughout the garden. And for this bed here, I have the Espoma Berry Town. It is currently my only berry bed, though I think we're gonna change that. I do have a couple of little blueberry plants, but for now, just going to spread out the fertilizer near the base of the berries And then obviously the other plants will get their respective fertilizers. This one's pretty big, so I'm just gonna try to throw it in as best as possible and just shake it off the leaves. I feel like these are big plants, so I almost want to put in more fertilizer than I think that I need. But basically we'll just water it into the ground and it'll help us get some more blackberries. The next thing I'm doing is checking for ripe tomatillos. So I do have these yellow ones that are the more mature plants that I have, and then the less mature ones over there are my green tomatillos. I didn't know that I bought yellow ones until I saw that they started turning yellow. So just kind of at the point with these yellow ones where I need to check daily. And I think I actually see another ripe one in here. Let me put this down. It's kind of hard to reach in here and grab them, but once they sort of break through their little, I call it a paper lantern covering, that's when they're ripe. And these will kind of turn to a lime green or a bright yellow if you leave them on too long. But I think this is all that I have today. As you can see, there's just a ton of them on these plants. Some of them get bigger than others, and they're just exploding. And I don't know what I'm gonna do with all of these tomatillos, but for now, I'm gonna add these to my jar inside. Another crop that I closely have to monitor every day at this point is my cucumber patch. So as you can see, I have 2 here that are ready, but I have new ones growing every day, and with the amount of foliage in here, cucumbers tend to get lost, and sometimes we just find them, like this one, which I didn't know was here. This one is almost ready, actually. I could pick it today if I wanted to, but I think I'll leave it just to get a little bit more size. But these 2 are ready, so I'm gonna go ahead and just remove them and grab them from the bottom. But yeah, I think that's it for today. I have been thoroughly checking, though I missed this guy. But I do think that is it for now. I did have one that I just like left that we never saw in here, and it got giant and yellow and weird. So definitely want to get these at the right size because I am looking forward to pickling and making my own pickles. I haven't done it in a couple of years, and now that I have the space to grow so many beautiful cucumbers, it is a real possibility. So once I get the right amount in my fridge, I'm gonna go ahead and pickle them all. But they all look pretty much like this, good size. I've been getting the Market More and the Boston pickling so far, and I do have that nice Israeli variety that is now just big enough to start flowering, so I'm very excited about that too. One crop that I have been monitoring is my carrot crop here, but not really for the carrots. I know we've got decent sized carrots in there, but I've been watching these flower crowns, heads. A lot of them have gone to seed, and this is the one that is the farthest along. So I've just been watching and waiting to see when exactly they are ready. A lot of them are looking like this, just starting to form seeds, or like this where they're kind of partway along, but these are starting to dry out at this point. So I really think it does require a daily monitoring, since I have never let carrots go to seed before, and I'm just kind of watching and waiting and wondering when they'll be ready. I heard they will start to open up, and that's when you want to take the entire head and harvest it. Most of the carrot flowers have been these cute little white guys, but I do have one here that has a little bit of pink on the center of the flower, and I just think that's super cute, so I wanted to mention that. But just one of the daily garden tasks, even if it doesn't need to get harvested today, I do need to check on these guys every day, just until I figure out kind of what I'm doing with them, because I've just never done this before, and saving seeds is a lot more economical in the long run, and these carrots, as you can see, are super prolific. One task that has just been staring at me in the face is pruning my tomatoes, and I just don't want to do it, but I have to do it. they're just so high maintenance as a plant if you really want to keep them looking nice and tidy. So I'm just gonna go in here and start pruning all of the lower leaves. You especially want anything toward the bottom. I'm just gonna prune off this whole sucker because that's the stuff that's gonna get diseased first. And then I'll come in after I prune all of this and just clean it all up, bring it to the compost pile. But this is one of the most important things to keep your tomato plants healthy is pruning. And last year I got really behind on that and I let my plants kind of grow too close together and they just ended up being full of disease. And I feel like their production could have been a lot better than it was. So we're just gonna try and be more aggressive with it this year. Anything that's got any signs of browning, not looking good, it's just gonna get the chop. Even if there are some little smaller plants here, I just don't want to take any chances. I want to have this for months to come and not have a bunch of sick plants. So even some of it that looks green and healthy, if it's too low to the ground, I'm just gonna take it because we want to create really good airflow with these plants so that they just keep producing. So I just kind of eyeball it. You kind of learn as you go what is good to take and what isn't. Sometimes even if it looks really healthy, just gonna take whatever's at the bottom. And I like to organize it as I go, sort of get all of the clippings out of the way, but it's just kind of up to you. That is a lot of eggs of something, so we're just gonna remove that. And that's gonna go, I don't know, that's gonna go in the grass. I don't know what that is. I don't want that many eggs of anything in my garden. So look at that. That's gonna be a lot of tomatoes. That's very cool. The other thing you have to be careful of is not cutting off a branch of tomatoes. I know I've done that before when pruning. Sometimes it's okay. Sometimes they will still ripen, but if they're too small, they won't. So just try to be very careful. I try to trace back each individual leaf to its source. At this point in the season, I'm not really cutting off whole branches of anything. But later on in the season, I will find that there's like whole branches of stuff that I need to cut off. And that's when you want to be super careful to not accidentally cut off an entire branch of tomatoes that's growing, especially late in the season, because you don't really have as much in terms of production. At least I don't, because by that point the tomatoes are super diseased. Just kind of cleaning up what I can. Might be able to harvest these today, which would be really nice. But at the end, it is all worth it because you kind of look back at the tomato plants and they look so much healthier just from a bit of pruning. And I've noticed that any leaves that end up touching each other are the first ones to kind of get diseased. So even if it's pretty far up the plant, I'm still going to take them. Disease is going to be the number one thing that halts production of these guys. So I try to be as aggressive as possible. Anything that's slightly yellow, slightly brown, even if it's some of the new growth, we're gonna get rid of it because there will always be new growth on these guys until it freezes. Usually they can withstand about, 40 degrees and they're still chugging along. So I don't really feel bad about chopping them so much. But as you can see, even this is clearing up, looking a bit better. I can actually see my tomatoes that are growing, which is nice. Wow, some of this stuff really spread quickly, but you know, when you're out of town and you end up in the hospital, sometimes things happen and things spread, but it's not to the point where these guys can't recover. It's very light sort of spread of disease, and it's very normal. I know when we think like, oh my gosh, my plant is diseased, it's like the end of the world, we should pull it out, but this is just minor stuff that can get taken care of super easily. And I feel very fortunate that at this point of the season, I have not had really any pest issues on these plants. I know we just took off whatever those seeds were, but I have been very lucky. At this point in the season last year, these plants were probably completely full of tomato hornworms, and I have not seen a single one yet. Again, fingers crossed, but not seeing any tomato hornworms has been a blessing. But I'm gonna go ahead and tear up all of these tomatoes, get them all pruned, and then I will show you what they look like when they're done. And I might get the other bed too. There's less tomato plants in that one, but I'll see you in a second. All right, so that's done. I did pick a tomato. This one was pretty ripe. I'm sure there are some leaves that I missed on there, but I did run into a couple spiders, so we're just gonna leave that be. The one thing is that I don't know when these guys will be ready. I might just pick them soon because they've been looking the same color for the last couple of days. But other than that, we have got a bunch of pruned tomatoes looking pretty good out here. I think this might actually be my last garden chore for the day, but this is so exciting. Half of my garlic has escaped. The garlic over there hasn't, but all of the garlic here has, and I'm excited because I love eating scapes. And cutting these back will help the garlic focus more on building a nice bulb, which is what I want. But these are honestly such a nice bonus. Some people like to fry them up and make kind of like onion rings. I like to just saute them. A little bit of oil, salt, pepper, nothing crazy because you want the flavor of these guys to shine. But I'm gonna go ahead and chop them off. Probably eat them for dinner tonight or tomorrow. Just sort of chop off the scape. If I left these be, they would flower, and that's not what I want. So just gonna go ahead and take all of them. They're honestly so expensive in the store too. So being able to have them as basically a byproduct that you get to eat. This one's tiny, but I'm taking them all now. Is just so rewarding. Where did it go? There it is. So obviously the more garlic you have, the more scapes you can get. I have a pretty small garlic patch, so there's not much that I get, but it's enough for like a little side dish or something. Did I miss that? I did. I was so excited to pick them up that I missed a couple. Here's one. This one I missed. This is a good one. That's a good size. That one. There was a second one that I missed. Is it this one? Yeah. That one is tiny, but it's something. So probably got a dozen of them, which is not bad. Like I said, it's not a meal or anything of that nature, but it is a really nice little side dish for one or two people to enjoy, and it has a ton of flavor, so don't sleep on that. And hopefully now these will focus on head production and we'll get nice heads of garlic in a couple months. Okay, that is it for us today. I hope you enjoyed following along as we got a lot of things done in the garden. Summer is in full swing at this point, and I'm loving all of the tomatoes and cucumbers and beans and everything else that I'm getting in the garden, tomatillos, you name it, really. It just feels really good to be able to finally make some meals without having to buy everything at the grocery store, and my goal at some point is to make a full meal without buying anything from the grocery store, but hopefully we'll get there soon. If you liked this video, make sure to give us a thumbs up down below and subscribe so you don't miss anything from me and my adorable little nutmeg. He's so cute. But thanks again, and we will catch you in the next one.